Welcome to your friendly neighborhood historian, where we discuss just enough history to inform, intrigue, and entertain. I'm Bill Petro. The history of Christmas music, more than just carols? Music early became a marked feature of the Christmas season, but the first chants, litanies, and hymns were in Latin and were deemed too theological and too Latin for popular use. Under St. Francis of Assisi's influence in the 13th century, we began to see the rise of the carol, written in the vernacular. The word carol comes from the Greek word choraline. The roots of the word are chorus, meaning dance, and orline, meaning to play the flute. So a choraline means an ancient circle dance performed to flute music. In the Middle Ages, the English combined circle dances with singing and called them carols. Later, the word carol came to mean a song in which a religious topic is treated in a familiar or festive style. From Italy, it passed to France and Germany, later to England, retaining its simplicity, fervor, and mirthfulness. Music has become one of the greatest tributes to Christmas and includes some of the noblest compositions of great musicians. In England, interestingly, during the British Commonwealth government under Oliver Cromwell, the British Parliament prohibited singing Christmas carols as pagan and sinful. It was thought at the time that its pagan roots in the 13th century and its overly democratic 14th century influences made it an unsuitable activity for the general public. The Commonwealth government of 1647 mandated it so. English Puritans disapproved of the celebration of Christmas, did not close shop on that day, but continued to work through December 25th. This was true also in colonial New England Puritanism in America, so that in Boston one could be fined 5 shillings for demonstrating your Christmas spirit. During this brief interlude in English history, during which there was no monarch, such activity by the populace was to remain illegal. But this activity was prohibited only as long as the Commonwealth survived. In 1660, when King Charles II restored the Stuarts to the throne, the public was once again able to practice the singing of Christmas carols. Let's look at Ireland. No music is more closely associated with the Christmas season than Messiah by George Frederick Handel. It may come as something of a surprise that it had nothing to do with the Christmas season when Handel originally composed it. It was initially performed during the Easter season, but since Handel's death, this music is usually performed during the Christmas Advent season. Incidentally, the work's full title is simply Messiah, although it is widely but incorrectly referred to as the Messiah. The composer was German by birth, but became a naturalized Englishman in 1726. He had written several Italian operas, but by the early 1740s, English interest in Italian opera had waned, and he abandoned the genre. He had previously written some oratorios on biblical themes. He wrote Messiah in the summer of 1741 in his characteristically quick 24 days, using texts from the familiar King James Bible, especially using Isaiah, the Psalms, and the Gospel of Luke. His first performance was the following spring in Dublin. Messiah is frequently attributed to have been originally done at Christ Church Cathedral in Dublin, but that is only half right. When I entered the church and asked about it, I was told the original performance was not held at the church. The Christ Church Choir had performed it, along with the choir from St. Patrick's Cathedral, which is located just 3 blocks away. But the actual performance was done at Neil's Music Hall on Fishamble Street, which is about half a block away from Christ Church, originally on April 13th, 1742. For a while, Handel lived about a mile away, north and across the River Liffey. I walked down to see the music hall expecting to see a large building. However, the music hall no longer exists. Only a plaque on a wall commemorates its location. Each year, Messiah is performed in the open air on the street. The original premiere to an audience of 700 was a benefit for prisoners in jail for debt, as well as a hospital and an infirmary. The concert raised about £400, enough money to free 142 unfortunate debtors from prison. The story is told that at the Dublin concert, the Chancellor of St. Patrick's Cathedral, the Reverend Sir Patrick Delaney, heard the solo of the section of Messiah, "He Was Despised," by the celebrated English stage actress and contralto, Susanna Cibber. He was so overwhelmed that he jumped up and cried out, "Woman, for this be all thy sins forgiven thee." Now, perhaps he was referring to the story from Luke chapter 7, verse 48 of Jesus forgiving a woman who was a sinner for her act of faith in anointing his feet. Or perhaps it was referring to the public scandal surrounding Cibber at the time regarding a tragic love affair. It premiered in London a year later, but it was not as well received. Ironically, the best performance I've seen of Messiah was in London several years ago by the Academy of Ancient Music at the Barbican Theatre with authentic period instruments. It was a religious experience. Thank you for listening. I'm Bill Petro, your friendly neighborhood historian. You can find more details on this topic and others on my website at billpetro.com.